Search for Nancy Guthrie. It's been over 2 months since she went missing. Black former special agent.
With you, what's your reaction to hearing that they thought Nancy simply
now leaning even harder on that Tucson community where Nancy Guthrie disappeared? Savannah Guthrie and her siblings this week.
It's like blood in the back of the...
Day 65, Easter Sunday. And today, the Nancy Guthrie case dropped a detail that stopped everyone in their tracks. A source directly inside this investigation, someone who is actually working on this case, was asked one simple question. Where does the investigation stand right now? And their answer, in 3 words, was this: "We ain't got s." That quote from inside the investigation. Reported by journalist Ashley Banfield on her podcast. That is where we are today. But that is not the only thing that happened this week. There is new information about how the suspect got inside the house. A famous cold case investigator who helped catch the Golden State Killer just weighed in. And tonight, as Easter celebrations happen across America, a family is still waiting, still praying, still hoping. Let us get into all of it. Now, if you are watching this for the first time, here is what you need to know. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She is the mother of Savannah Guthrie, the co-anchor of NBC's Today Show, one of the most watched morning programs in America. Nancy lives alone in Tucson, Arizona, in a quiet neighborhood called the Catalina Foothills. On the night of January 31st, 2026, family members dropped Nancy off at her home after dinner. She went inside. The garage door closed behind her. That was the last confirmed moment anyone saw her. The next morning, she did not show up for her regular Sunday church service, something she never missed. Her family went to check on her. She was gone. Her phone was still inside. Her medication was still inside. Her purse was still there. Blood was found on her front porch. The back doors of her home were propped open. The FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department concluded almost immediately. This was not voluntary. Authorities continue to investigate what they describe as a targeted abduction, with no arrests made and her whereabouts remaining unknown as of Easter Sunday, April 5th, 2026. That is the case, and here's what happened this week that you have not heard before. Let us start with the most disturbing update of the week, and it came from Ashley Banfield. If you do not know Ashley Banfield, she is a veteran journalist who spent years at CNN and News Nation. She now hosts a true crime podcast called Drop Dead Serious. She has been covering the Nancy Guthrie case closely, and she has sources inside the investigation. This past week, Ashley revealed a shocking quote from a source directly involved in the investigation. One who told her that the case currently has yielded few developments in the desperate search. In her words, a source in the investigation has said, and this is a direct quote, when asked, "Where does the investigation stand?" The direct quote is, "We ain't got Sue." That's one of the investigators in the investigation. Think about that for a moment. Not a critic, not a reporter, an actual investigator working this actual case, saying they have nothing. Banfield said this was devastating to hear. She had assumed that investigators were secretly close to catching someone, the way authorities quietly tracked Idaho killer Brian Kohberger across the country before making an arrest. She had assumed something similar was happening here. But this quote told her otherwise. Now, here is a detail that only came out this week, and it is genuinely chilling. We already knew that Nancy's back doors were found propped open, but we did not know how. This week, Banfield's sources gave her the answer. According to a law enforcement source, the suspect reportedly used Nancy Guthrie's own flower pots to prop open the back doors. Banfield described it on her podcast. He took her beautiful flower pots that I can only imagine she spent time nurturing and making beautiful for her back patio, and he used them for his evil plot. And it was not just one door. New details focus on the back patio entry into the kitchen, where 2 doors were allegedly propped open with flower pots, while the back gate was reportedly propped open the same way. Now here's the question that this raises. Why would someone prop open the back gate and both back doors? The most obvious answer, and investigators are now considering this, is that this person planned to exit through the back. They came in through the front, dealt with Nancy, and planned to leave through the back, where it was dark and there were fewer cameras. Banfield speculated that the suspect may have originally intended to exit through the back doors, but Nancy's limited mobility may have forced them to use the front door instead. And then came an even more disturbing piece of information. CBS News reported that according to sources, the suspect had been to Nancy's home before the night she disappeared. Someone who pre-visited, someone who knew the layout, someone who knew where the back gate was, someone who used her own flower pots. This was not random. This was planned. Now here is a name that every true crime follower knows. Paul Holes. Paul Holes is one of the most respected investigators in the country. He spent decades as a cold case detective, and he is the man who played a pivotal role in identifying Joseph James DeAngelo, the Golden State Killer who terrorized California for years. Holes joined Ashley Banfield on her Drop Dead Serious podcast to analyze the Nancy Guthrie case. And what he said about the timeline of solving this case was sobering. He said, "These cases sometimes can be resolved quickly, sometimes can take weeks, sometimes can take years. Nancy Guthrie, there's an exigency because the hope is she's still alive, and you want to get that information, that in those investigative leads that will get her home safe. But the reality is that in these whodunit cases, it can take a long time if the offender is actually doing things to try to prevent himself from being caught. And I believe that's what's happening in this case. A man who caught the Golden State Killer, using the same DNA genealogy technique now being used in this case, is saying he believes the suspect is actively hiding, actively covering their tracks. Here is the newest investigative angle, and it reveals exactly how far behind this probe may be. This week, Ashley Banfield revealed that authorities have only just now started interviewing contractors, subcontractors, and day laborers who worked in and around Nancy's neighborhood before she disappeared. On her Drop Dead Serious podcast, Sari Banfield told her audience that law enforcement had only just started interviewing contractors and subcontractors who were working on or around the vicinity of Nancy's residence in the Catalina Foothills neighborhood of Tucson. Think about how long that list is. Pool cleaners, electricians, roofers, yard workers, delivery drivers, painters. Anyone who came anywhere near that house or the surrounding neighborhood in the weeks or months before February 1st. Banfield said, Mrs. Guthrie had money. It was a nice home. Not a ton of money, but enough to have people help her with the pool and the yard. The yard is meticulous. Must have had some electrician work done. The air conditioner guys, there's just an endless list of folks that come to the home to do work. And her source's assessment of this entire process? It's a mess. It's a mess. Why does this matter? Because Banfield's theory, and it is a credible one, is that whoever did this may have spotted Nancy while doing work nearby. They saw an elderly woman living alone with limited mobility in a nice home. They came back later with a plan, and the flower pots proved they knew the layout. Retired Detective Clint Cole, who helped solve the Nancy Woodrum case, joined Banfield to explain why investigating these contractor-heavy leads can be so difficult to untangle and why police may have already spoken to the suspect without realizing it. One more voice this week that deserves attention, a name that has not gotten nearly enough coverage. Fabian Pacheco is the chief of detectives for the Pima County Attorney's Office. He oversees one of the official tip lines for this case. And this week, he sat down with CBS Mornings and said something simple but important. It only takes one tip, just one, to break the case open, to offer that lead that we so desperately need in this case, Pacheco said. He confirmed that about 10% of the leads coming in have real investigative value. 10% out of tens of thousands of tips. That means investigators are wading through enormous amounts of information every single day looking for the one tip that breaks everything open. Here is where things stand right now on day 65. Easter Sunday, 2026. An investigator inside this case privately said they have nothing. The suspect used Nancy's own flower pots to prop open her back doors and gate, suggesting he had been inside or near the home before. Paul Holes, the man who helped catch the Golden State Killer, says the suspect is actively hiding and this could take years. Investigators are only now interviewing the long list of workers who came to that neighborhood. And tomorrow morning, Savannah Guthrie walks back into Studio 1A at Rockefeller Center. still without her mother. Authorities have not ruled out any scenarios, including the possibility that she remains alive and is being held. Searches and analytical work continue around the clock, officials say, with no plans to scale back efforts. Nancy Guthrie is still out there. Somebody watching this right now may know something. If you have any information at all, please call right now. 1-800-CALL-FBI or the Pima County tip line, 5208-827-463. The Guthrie family is offering a $1 million reward for any information leading to Nancy's safe recovery. And if this video helped you understand this case, please like it, subscribe, and share it. Every person who watches is one more set of eyes on Nancy's story, and right now, that matters more than ever. I will see you tomorrow with the next update.